The truth is that all addiction stories are almost the same. They always start with a young man who experiences, and thinks that he is too strong to follow this path, but in the end he turns into an addict, and then his life ends with sadness and day. In fact, the addict not only destroys his private life, but also destroys his family. How many parents are broken their hearts because of their children's drug addiction, as they look at them with their eyes and can do nothing to stop them, or watch their children die of a drug overdose or end their life in prison. One of the fathers, Richard Smith, published in the Telegraph the following story of his son, who had placed his hopes on him and then in the end turned into a human wreck, of no value or use in life. The father says that his son was a child who showed signs of genius from childhood, and he was keen to include him in the best schools and try to secure a good education for him, and the son was doing well at the beginning of his academic life. A guitar teacher inside the same school, and he began to live his life independently, and his parents left him to live outside the house, thinking that the previous days would not return again. Unfortunately, on his first day in the job and while walking on the street, he passed in front of one of those stores licensed to sell some types of drugs, so he could not resist and entered the store and bought some types of drugs. Authorized drugs, believing that he will only take them once, and that these substances sold in stores do not cause high levels of addiction, so there is no problem with taking them. During one of his tours with the band, he overdosed on the drug, and was about to lose his life, and he was also about to go to prison. His parents decided to intervene and admit him to the rehabilitation institution again, despite its high costs, but they found that this price was not worth their son's life. The son got treatment a second time, and after leaving the rehab center he went back to work with the band he was in again, and his parents arranged for him to live in the house with them again so that he would be under their observation. He was making a living working with the band, and for a while things were good, but he couldn't stay sober for long, and he went back to buying drugs, but this time from drugstores. Over the internet, and these items sold online are highly dangerous and not the same as items sold in licensed stores. And while the son received the package containing drugs from the mail, he was caught with the drugs he bought on the internet, and of course he was expelled from the band in which he works. And after they found that their son had reached a dangerous stage of abuse, they decided to try to help him again, but this time they tried to start treating him themselves, so the father used to buy drugs by himself, and giving it to his son, but slowly reducing the dose he gives to his son every day, but that method also did not succeed in making him quit addiction. And just like many parents of children struggling with addiction, Richard and his wife, Laura, pushed thousands of pounds to try to help their son, to no avail, and the father says that he paid more than £250,000 sterling to keep his son safe and save him from a life of homelessness and addiction, but to no avail. In the end, after the parents felt that their son had completely succumbed to addiction and that he was trying to actually end his life, the father decided that the father should enter a sanatorium for treatment one last time, and after 4 weeks upon his admission, the father sees that there is little hope for a cure, and that his son, who has reached the age of 31, will never live a normal life again. The father decided to publish his son's story in the newspaper despite the stigma that afflicted the family, because he wanted to warn other parents not to leave their children unattended during adolescence. Also, the father, who almost lost hope that his son would recover from that crisis that practically ended his life, decided to join a charitable organization whose primary mission is to warn school children about the dangers of addiction, because he wants to make sure that other teenagers do not end up like he did with his son.